Welcome, dear listener. Tonight's sleep story will take you into a cookie shop on a rainy street. You don't have to listen closely tonight. 2 easy breaths. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in again and breathe out. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw soften. And when you're ready, we'll begin. Rain falls steadily, turning the pavement glossy. Streetlights blur in the wet air. Halfway down the block, a small cookie shop glows. Not bright, not sharp, just warm light behind glass. A simple door, a small bell. Your umbrella closes with a soft snap. Water beads and slides down the fabric. You step closer. You reach for the handle. The bell rings softly overhead, and you step inside. Warmth meets your cheeks. The air feels softer, and the scent is immediate. Butter, vanilla, brown sugar turning to caramel. The shop is small, but it feels unhurried, as if time has room here. A row of jars along the back wall, flour-dusted labels, copper lids, everything lined up with quiet care. Behind the glass case, cookies rest in tidy rows, some golden and simple, some dark with cocoa, some flecked with sea salt like tiny stars. A kettle hums somewhere near the counter, a soft, steady sound, like a purr. Near the entrance, a woven mat catches the rain from your shoes. You take one step, then another, and the wet city stays outside. A woman looks up from behind the counter. She's in her 30s, hair tied back, sleeves rolled to the forearm. Her apron is flour dusted, not messy, just honest. Her eyes are calm, a little tired in a gentle way, the way someone looks after a long day of doing one thing well. She gives you a small smile, the kind that says you're welcome here. Good evening, she says. Her voice is low, easy to hear, easy to trust. You answer softly, and she nods as if that's enough, as if words can be optional tonight. You hang your coat on a peg by the door. The fabric makes a quiet whisper against the wood. The woman steps to the espresso machine at the side counter, not rushed, not performing, just moving the way she always does when the shop is settling into night. Her name, you learn from the little sign near the register. Sienna. The letters are simple, handwritten. A small curl on the S. Sienna wipes her hands on a towel, folds the towel into a neat square, sets it down in the same place it always goes. Then she checks the cookie case latch. A tiny click, a small confirmation. She slides a tray half an inch, squares it to the edge, stops, looks once, and lets it be. Outside, rain taps at the front window, tiny beads chasing one another downward. Streetlight glow stretches into ribbons on the wet sidewalk, and the shop's window holds its own warm square against the dark. Sienna moves as if she's listening to the room itself, to the small sounds, to the temperature, to the quiet. You notice there's a notebook on the counter. Not big, not fancy. The kind of notebook someone carries for years because it feels right in the hand. Beside it, a pen, a clipped-on bookmark, and a tiny jar of paper slips, each one folded into a narrow rectangle. Sienna sees your eyes land there, and her smile deepens just a little. I write a bit, she says, after closing. Not an explanation, just a small truth left gently out in the open. You nod, and the room keeps breathing. Sienna turns toward the kettle again. She pours hot water into a mug to warm it. The steam rises and disappears, and then she empties it like a quiet reset. She sets 2 cups out, not because she expects a crowd, just because the night feels better when there's an extra cup ready to be needed. The bell over the door doesn't ring for a moment, and that's okay. The shop seems to like the spaces between. Sienna takes a cloth and begins a simple, familiar loop. She wipes the counter. One slow pass, then another, over the same line. She pauses at the corner, smooths the edge, and lets her hand rest for a breath. She folds the cloth, aligns the corners, presses it flat with her palm, and sets it down exactly where it belongs. Then she repeats, a smaller loop this time. Wipe, smooth, pause. The room grows quieter, not empty, just steady. If you're drifting, that's perfectly okay. You can let the warmth do some of the work. There's nothing you need to solve in this moment. Sienna turns a small lamp near the shelves. The light becomes softer, more honey than gold. In the corner, a little speaker plays something faint. Not a song exactly, more like a gentle hum. So low it almost disappears into the rain. You stand by the case and look at the cookies the way people do when they want comfort, but don't want to ask for it. Sienna doesn't hurry you. She waits with an easy patience, like someone who knows choices can be tiring when your mind has been running all day. You pick one, then another, then you change your mind and choose a different one. Sienna simply nods. No comment, no pressure. She opens the case with a soft hiss of air. Cooler air spills into the warm room. She uses tongs with a gentle click, lifts a cookie, sets it on parchment, lifts another, sets it beside it. The cookies are still a little warm, the kind of warmth that holds itself in the center, even after they're cooled. Sienna slides them into a small box, and then, without rushing, she begins the night's first slow ritual. She folds the parchment, aligns the edges, smooths it with 2 fingers, presses lightly as if the paper can hear her. She folds again, corner to corner, edge to edge, a precise line, a soft stroke to settle it. Then she pauses, just long enough for the kettle to whisper, just long enough for the rain to find its rhythm. She ties a thin string around the box, once around, then twice. A small cross, a neat bow. She trims the ends with tiny scissors. Snip, snip, and the box looks finished, quietly complete. She sets it on the counter, not pushing it toward you too quickly, just letting it sit like a small gift that has time. The bell rings again. A woman steps in, late 20s, a sleek raincoat, hair damp at the ends. She closes her umbrella with sharp efficiency, like she's still moving to a schedule even though the day is over. She doesn't look upset, not visibly, but her eyes are bright in a tired way, busy, as if something behind them won't stop scrolling. She glances at her phone, then slips it into her pocket as if it's hot. Sienna greets her, just the same gentle tone, just the same ease. The woman gives a small smile back, and then she exhales, like she's been holding air for hours. She comes closer to the case and looks through the glass without really seeing. Sienna waits, hands resting on the counter. Open, still. The woman's name is Tessa. You catch it when Sienna says it, softly, as if they've met before. Tessa nods, then rubs her forehead with 2 fingers. A quick motion, a familiar one. Sienna asks what she'd like tonight. Tessa blinks and then laughs very quietly. Not a joke laugh, more like an I don't even know laugh. She points at a cookie near the center, and then points at another one right beside it, as if she can't decide between comfort and comfort. Sienna opens the case. The hinge breathes. The tongs click. Cookie lifts. Cookie lands on parchment. Click. Lift. Land. Sienna closes the case, and the shop returns to its soft, sealed quiet. Tessa's shoulders drop half an inch, as if that sound was a signal. Sienna takes a fresh sheet of parchment paper, sets it flat, smooths it once. Then she begins another slow loop. Fold, align, smooth, pause, fold again, align, smooth, pause. Tessa watches the way people watch when their mind doesn't know where else to go. Sienna makes the box, sets the cookies in, closes the lid with a soft tap. She presses the lid edge with her fingertips, one side, then the other, as if she's sealing in warmth itself. She reaches for a stamp, a small wooden stamp with a simple shape, a crescent moon. She inks it lightly, just once, not too much, and then she presses it onto the receipt paper. A quiet, firm touch. Lift. A moon appears. A small mark that feels oddly comforting, like someone saying, I see you. Sienna tears the receipt along a clean line, places it inside the bag with the box. Then she folds the top of the bag down. One fold, then a second fold to make it tidy. She seals it with a single sticker. Clear. Simple. Nothing loud. Tessa's eyes track each step. Her breathing begins to match the pace of Sienna's hands. If your thoughts are moving a little too fast, you don't have to chase them. You can just notice the rhythm here. Hands, paper, soft sounds, and let that be enough. Sienna sets the bag in front of Tessa, and then she pours a small cup of warm milk, the kind that smells faintly of vanilla. She offers it without ceremony. A quiet extra. Tessa wraps her hands around the cup, and her fingers linger against the ceramic as if she's remembering what warmth feels like. Steam rises. Tessa watches it. Inhale. Exhale. A tiny sip. A soft sound. She closes her eyes for 1 second, then opens them again, as if she's checking whether it's really allowed to feel this calm. Sienna keeps her voice low. She doesn't ask big questions. She just stays present, like a lamp left on for someone. And then, in the simplest way, the conversation happens. Only a few words, as light as paper. Slack keeps echoing in my head, even in bed. It's like a bright sign that won't turn off in your window. Tonight, let it dim between each slow breath. Tessa lets out a slow laugh, smaller than before, and something in her face unclenches. Not solved, not fixed, just softened. She takes another sip of the warm milk, and then she looks down at the bag, at the little moon mark, as if it's a reminder she can keep. Sienna begins a second loop for her, almost the same, with one small change. She takes a fresh bag, sets it flat, runs her palm down the front. She places the cookie box inside. She adds one extra napkin, folded into a small square. Fold, align, smooth. Then she adds a tiny paper slip from the little jar, one of the folded rectangles, no bigger than a thumb. She doesn't open it. She just tucks it in, as if the message can wait until later. She folds the bag. One fold, second fold, press. She seals it with another clear sticker. Tap. And the ritual ends exactly where it began. Quiet. Complete. Tessa watches, and her eyes look different now. Less scattered. More here. Sienna slides the bag toward her gently. Not pushing, just offering. Tessa nods, and her hand rests on the counter for a moment longer than it needs to. Then she reaches into her pocket and pulls out her phone. Her thumb hovers, ready to wake the screen. She pauses. Her thumb stops, and she slips the phone back into her pocket without looking. It's a small choice, a tiny miracle, the kind no one else would notice, but it changes the air around her. For a moment, you can almost hear the silence inside her head making space. Tessa takes her bag and wraps her fingers around the warm cup again. Another sip, another breath, and then the past brushes up softly, not as a storm, but as a small memory with rounded edges. She is in a different room years earlier, A small apartment with a cheap desk lamp. Her laptop is open. Her notes are scattered. Sticky tabs everywhere. Color-coded. Over-labeled. Over-loved. She is new then, too. Not a manager, not a lead. Just someone who cares so much it makes her tense. A friend sits on the floor beside the couch, tired, laughing gently at the chaos of it all. You can log off, the friend says, and it's not advice. It's permission. They turn the laptop lid down until it clicks shut. A clean sound. They put the phone face down on the table. They make tea with whatever is left in the cabinet. And for a while, they talk about nothing. Mugs warming hands, steam in the air, a small, ordinary night that feels safe. The memory doesn't last long. It doesn't need to. It leaves behind a simple feeling. That logging off is not a failure. It's a kindness. Tessa blinks, back in the cookie shop, back in the rain-lit present. She looks at Sienna as if she wants to say thank you, but she doesn't make it heavy. She just breathes out, and that becomes the thank you. Sienna nods, as if she understands the language of that breath. Tessa pulls her coat on. The fabric rustles softly. She lifts the hood, checks her pockets, keys, wallet, a small routine. She opens the door. The bell rings again, gentle and friendly, and then the rain takes her back. You see her through the window for a moment, a silhouette under streetlight, a bag held close to her chest. She pauses at the curb, looks up at the rain as if she's testing whether it will hurt. Then she steps forward, one foot, then the other. Her pace is slower now, not dramatic, just human. Outside, streetlights bloom in soft halos. Raindrops streak the glass in thin silver lines. Tessa's figure fades into the night, and the shop remains. Sienna exhales, a quiet sound only the room hears. She picks up the towel again, wipes the counter once, then again, smooths the edge, pauses, fold, a line, smooth, a small loop to bring the world back into order. She glances at the notebook on the counter. Not yet. Later. For now, she checks the kettle. She rinses a cup. Water runs softly, then stops. She sets the cup upside down on a towel to dry. The shop feels even more settled, as if it has exhaled too. If sleep is close, you can let it come. You can let the rain and these small sounds carry you along. And if you're still awake, that's okay as well. There's more quiet ahead. The bell doesn't ring for a little while, but the night still moves gently. Sienna turns the lamp slightly lower. She walks to the window and watches the street for a moment. Cars pass occasionally, their tires whispering through shallow puddles. A distant hush, then gone. She returns to the counter, opens a drawer with a soft slide, takes out a fresh stack of parchment. a roll of string, a jar of stickers. She lines them up, not because she has to, because it helps, because the hands like knowing what comes next. And somewhere outside, under the steady rain, another person is moving through the city toward this warm window. A figure under a dark umbrella, shoulders slightly hunched, steps measured, as if the body is tired, but still careful. The bell over the door rings softly again. A man steps inside, early 30s, scrubs under a heavy coat, shoes that look like they've walked too many hallways today. He closes his umbrella slowly, not with sharp efficiency, but with the quiet focus of someone who has had to be gentle for other people. Water drips onto the woven mat, dark spots blooming then settling. He looks around as if he's checking that the room is real, warm, safe, still. Sienna lifts her eyes. Her smile is small but steady. "Good evening," she says. His voice is low, a little rough, but kind. "Evening," he answers. He steps closer to the cookie case, and his shoulders drop a fraction. Not relief, not yet, just a tiny loosening. Sienna notices the way his hands move, not fidgeting, more like replaying something invisible, fingers pressing together, then separating, then pressing again. He reads the label on the small name tag pinned to his coat. Miles. Sienna nods as if she's saying the name without needing to say it aloud. She opens the case with a soft hinge sound, cool air sighing into warm air. Miles points to a simple cookie, butter, sugar, the kind that doesn't ask questions. Sienna reaches for the tongs. Click, lift, land on parchment. Click, lift again, land beside it. She closes the case. The room seals back up. Miles exhales like the sealed sound told his nervous system it can stop scanning. Sienna begins a familiar loop, not hurried, not stretched out, just steady. She sets a small box on the counter. She folds parchment, a line, smooth with 2 fingers. Pause, fold again, a line, smooth, pause. She places the cookies inside. She closes the lid with a soft tap. Then she ties the string, once around, twice around, a neat cross, a simple bow. She trims the ends. Snip, snip. Miles watches as if his mind needs something this gentle to follow. Sienna warms a mug with hot water. Steam rises. She pours it out. Then she pours a mild tea. Nothing sharp, nothing caffeinated. Something that smells like chamomile and quiet. She sets it down within reach. Miles wraps his hands around the mug. He doesn't drink yet. He just holds it. Warmth through ceramic. Warmth through skin. Warmth reaching a place inside him that has been cold under fluorescent lights. He takes one small sip, a soft swallow, a pause. Sienna wipes the counter once, then again, as if she's giving him time without naming it. And then, In the same way a candle simply glows, the conversation happens. Only a few sentences, light enough to let sleep stay near. I keep replaying the shift when I finally lie down. It's like a looping monitor in a dim hallway. Tonight, let the loop soften with each quiet sip. Miles nods once, not because he's convinced, because he feels the room is not fighting him. Sienna gives the smallest answer, a gentle, almost invisible one. She slides the tea a little closer. That's all. Then she begins another loop, nearly the same, a tiny shift. She takes a fresh paper slip from her little jar, one folded rectangle. She doesn't open it. She just rests it beside the box. She presses the box lid with her fingertips. Left edge, right edge, front edge, a quiet seal. She places the slip inside the bag, then the box, then a napkin folded neatly. Fold, align, smooth. She folds the bag top down. One fold, second fold, press. She seals it with a clear sticker. Tap. Miles watches the sticker go down like it's a signal, a finishing line, a safe end. He takes another sip, slower, and his breathing begins to match the pace of Sienna's hands. If you're tired, you can be tired here. You don't need to hold yourself up with effort. You can let the simple motions do the carrying. Miles's eyes drift to the notebook on the counter, the pen, the clipped bookmark. Sienna follows his gaze and nods once. It helps me, she says softly. Not advice, just a small truth. Miles turns his mug a quarter inch on the counter, then another quarter inch, as if he's straightening a moment. He looks down at his hands, at the faint marks the day left there. Dry skin, a small nick near a knuckle. He takes his bag, holds it carefully, as if it contains more than cookies. He stands and pulls his coat tighter. The fabric rustles softly. He pauses at the door, and for a second he looks back, not at Sienna exactly, but at the warm light, at the steadiness. Then the door opens, the bell rings again, and Rain steps in to take him home. Through the window, you see Miles walk a few steps and then slow down. Not dramatic, just a human slowing. His shoulders loosen. His head tilts up slightly, as if he's letting the rain's sound replace the monitor's hum. And as he goes, a small memory touches him, quietly, without sharp edges. He is in a hospital break room years ago, newer then, still learning how to be steady for other people. A mentor stands by the sink, washing a mug slowly. Soap, rinse, dry, no rush, no lecture. You'll hear it later, the mentor says gently, as if talking about weather. The day tries to follow you. Miles blinks, confused, tired. The mentor turns off the tap, wipes the counter once, then again. But you can practice a different sound, the mentor adds. Tea, rain, a quiet room. Miles didn't understand then. Not fully, but he remembered the tone, the calm certainty that rest is a skill you can relearn. The memory fades as softly as it came. Back on the sidewalk, Miles steps into the rain, and the city is still the city, but something in him is a little less clenched. Inside, Sienna returns to the counter. She rinses the mug. Water runs softly, then stops. She places it upside down to dry. She wipes the counter. One slow pass, another slow pass. Corner, edge, pause, fold the cloth, align the corners, smooth it flat, a small loop to settle the room again. The rain continues, steady, patient. The shop holds its warmth like a cupped hand, and time moves on softly into the next quiet moment. The bell rings again. A woman steps inside, 40s, a simple coat, hair tucked behind one ear, phone in hand, screen dimmed but not off. She closes the umbrella and shakes it gently, not splashing, just careful. Her eyes flick to the shelves, to the case, to the register, to the notebook. She is looking for the next thing, the next tab, the next task, even here, even now. Sienna greets her with the same calm warmth. "Good evening," she says. The woman smiles politely, but her smile doesn't reach her shoulders. "Hi," she answers. Sienna reads her name from the small order screen as she approaches. Naomi. Naomi slips her phone into her pocket, then pulls it back out, then slips it in again. Sienna doesn't comment. She just waits, as if waiting itself is part of the service here. Naomi leans over the cookie case and finally chooses something with chocolate and a little sea salt. Sienna opens the case. The hinge breathes. Tongs click. Cookie lifts. Cookie lands on parchment. Click. Lift again. Land beside it. Sienna closes the case, and the shop returns to its soft, sealed quiet. Naomi exhales as if she didn't realize she was holding breath. Sienna begins the first loop for Naomi. Unhurried, precise. Parchment down. Palm smooths it once, then again. Pause, fold, align, smooth, pause. Cookies into the box. Lid closes. Soft tap. String around once. String around twice. Cross. Bow. Snip. Snip. Naomi watches. Her gaze steadies on the order of it. The predictability. The kindness of sequence. Sienna pours warm water into a mug. Empties it. Then pours a caffeine-free cocoa. Not heavy, not sweet, just warm, a little bitter, a little soft. She sets it down near Naomi's hands. Naomi wraps her fingers around the mug. The warmth does something quiet to her chest. A small sip, a pause. Sienna wipes the counter once, then again. Naomi's phone stays in her pocket. For now, the conversation arrives like a feather. Only a few sentences, then back to quiet. I'm home all day, but I'm never off. It's like living inside an always open browser. Tonight, close one tab with each warm swallow. Naomi's mouth curves into a real smile this time. Small, tired, grateful. Sienna gives a tiny reply, barely a sentence. "That sounds enough," she says. Then she lets silence do the rest. Sienna begins a second loop. Same shape, new detail. She takes a fresh bag, smooths the front with her palm. She slides the box inside, adds a folded napkin. Fold, align, smooth. Then she reaches for the little jar of paper slips. She pulls one out, a folded rectangle, worn at the crease, as if it has traveled through a few evenings. This time, Sienna opens it, just enough to read it. The message is small, handwritten, not fancy. A few words. Log off kindly, even if you can't log off fully. Sienna's eyes soften. She refolds it carefully. Align, smooth, pause. Then she tucks it into the bag beside the cookie box. She folds the bag top. One fold, second fold, press, seal with a clear sticker, tap. Naomi watches, and something in her face loosens again, as if her mind finally found a slower speed. If you're still awake, you don't need to do anything about that. You can simply be here, letting the story move like rain. And if you drift, that's perfectly okay. Naomi holds the mug with both hands for a few breaths. Steam rises, dissolves, rises again. She takes another sip. The soft sound repeats. Sip, swallow, pause, sip, swallow, pause. Her breathing slows without effort. And then, as if warmth opened a small door, a memory slips through. Naomi is at her kitchen table on a bright afternoon months ago. Laptop open, headphones on, messages popping, calendar chimes. A constant, gentle alarm disguised as productivity. She stands up to refill her water, but halfway to the sink, she stops. The sunlight catches a dust mote floating quietly. Nothing urgent, nothing useful, just a tiny drift in golden light. She watches it for 3 seconds, maybe 4. And in that pause, her shoulders drop in a way she didn't plan. She hears a bird outside, one simple note, then another. Her phone buzzes, her laptop pings, and she does not respond for a full minute. Not as rebellion, as practice. She pours water, she drinks. She looks out the window one more time before returning to her chair. The memory is small, almost nothing, but it carries a feeling. That you can be in your home without being inside your work, that a single minute can belong to you. Back in the cookie shop, Naomi breathes out and blinks slowly. She looks down at the bag and then at Sienna. "I needed that," she says quietly. Sienna nods once, no big reaction, just recognition. Naomi pulls on her coat, checks her pockets, keys, wallet, phone. Her hand pauses on the phone, then she leaves it where it is. She opens the door. Bell rings. Rain steps forward to meet her. Through the window, you see Naomi walk a few steps, then slow down, as if she's practicing closing tabs with her feet. One step, then another. Not rushing, not optimizing, just moving. Inside, Sienna returns to the counter. She gathers 2 mugs now, rinses them. Water runs softly, then stops. She sets them upside down to dry. She wipes the counter. 1 pass, another pass, corner, edge, pause, fold, align, smooth. The shop settles deeper into late evening. Outside, rain keeps writing its slow story on the glass. The bell rings again. An older man steps inside. 60s. A coat that looks well kept, but slightly too new, as if it's been worn only a few times. He closes his umbrella with careful hands. Not shaky, just deliberate, like he has more time now and doesn't know what to do with it. He stands on the mat for a moment and listens to the kettle hum, to the rain, to the quiet. His eyes move around the room and then return to the window, as if he's surprised by how loud the silence can be when nothing else is asking for him. Sienna greets him with her soft voice. "Good evening," she says. He smiles politely, a little unsure, then steps closer to the case. His name is Henry. Sienna says it gently, as if she's known it for a while. Henry nods, then clears his throat very quietly, as if even that might disturb the room. He points to a plain cookie. Oatmeal, cinnamon, something steady. Sienna opens the case. Hinge breathes. Click, lift, land on parchment. Click, lift, land beside it. She closes the case, and the room feels safe again. Henry exhales, a long, slow breath he didn't realize he was holding. Sienna begins the first loop for him. Simple, reliable, like a small lighthouse made of paper and string. Parchment down, smooth once, smooth again. Pause, fold, align, smooth, pause. Cookies in the box, lid closes, soft tap, string around once, string around twice, cross, bow, snip, snip. Henry watches, and his hands stop hovering in front of his chest. They rest on the counter instead, palm down, fingers loose. Sienna warms a mug, empties it, then pours a mild decaf coffee. Not strong, not sharp, just warm enough to smell like comfort. She sets it down near Henry. He wraps his hands around it and closes his eyes for a second. A sip, a soft swallow, a pause. The conversation arrives with the same gentle brevity as before, only a few sentences, then back to quiet. The house is too quiet since I stopped working. It's like standing in a room after the music ends. Tonight, let one small routine be the new song. Henry's eyes shine slightly, not with tears, just with recognition. Sienna nods once, and she doesn't add more. She doesn't need to. She begins a second loop, same steps, a tiny miracle inside it. She takes a small paper slip from the jar. This one is folded a little tighter, as if someone's fingers pressed the crease with care. Sienna opens it just enough to read, then she refolds it. A line, smooth, pause. She slides it into the bag beside the cookie box. Then, as she reaches for the sticker, a second slip falls from the jar onto the counter. It lands face down like a quiet accident. Sienna pauses, not startled, just attentive. She flips it over and reads it. A simple message, written in a neat hand. Close one tab, take one sip, let it be enough. Sienna's mouth curves into the smallest smile. She doesn't know who wrote it. She doesn't need to. She refolds it carefully. A line, smooth, pause. Then she tucks it into the jar again for another night. A tiny kindness circling forward. Sienna finishes the bag. Fold, second fold, press, seal with a clear sticker, tap. Henry watches and breathes a little more slowly. If your mind wants to keep moving, you can let it move at this pace. Paper, warmth, rain, nothing urgent, nothing loud. Henry holds the mug for a few breaths. Steam rises, dissolves, rises again. He takes a sip, then another, then rests. And a memory touches him softly, not heavy, not sharp. Henry is younger, standing in a small office at the end of a workday. A desk lamp glows, a stack of papers, a jacket on the chair. He is tired in the familiar way of someone who has been needed from morning to evening. A coworker lingers near the door, older than him then, calm. The coworker taps the edge of Henry's desk and smiles. Make a closing, the coworker says. Not about the office, about the day. Henry frowns, confused. The coworker points to 3 small actions. Turn off the lamp, lock the drawer, take one slow breath. Henry does it, half amused. Lamp off, click, drawer closed. Soft thud, one slow breath, and something inside him shifts, almost imperceptibly. The coworker nods, as if to say, see, your day can end on purpose. The memory fades with the warmth of the mug. Back in the cookie shop, Henry opens his eyes and looks around again. This time, the silence does not feel like a threat. It feels like space. Henry stands, pulls on his coat, checks his pockets, keys, wallet. He pauses, then places his phone deeper into his coat pocket, as if tucking it away for later. He takes his bag, holds it close in both hands for a moment, as if it's proof that small routines still exist. He opens the door. The bell rings. Rain steps forward to meet him. Through the window, you see Henry stand under the awning for a moment longer than necessary. He listens to the rain's steady sound. He lifts his face slightly, and then he walks on, slow and careful, as if he's learning a new rhythm. Inside, the shop becomes quiet again. Sienna looks around, not counting, not measuring, just noticing the warmth in the air, the clean lines of the counter, the jars on the shelf holding their patient ingredients. She rinses one more mug. Water runs softly, then stops. She sets it upside down to dry. She wipes the counter. One slow pass, then another. Corner, edge, pause, fold, align, smooth. The rain continues its steady work outside the window. And inside, the cookie shop leans gently toward closing time, toward softer light, toward the notebook waiting on the counter. Sienna's hand hovers near the pen. Not yet. Soon. The night is still open, but it's narrowing now, like a quiet hallway leading toward sleep. Sienna stands behind the counter. The shop is quiet now, not empty, just settled. Rain keeps tapping at the window, a patient rhythm that doesn't ask for anything back. The streetlight outside glows in a soft halo. Its reflection stretches across the wet sidewalk like a ribbon of light. Inside, the warm lamps hold their honey-colored pool on the wood floor. Sienna takes one slow breath, then another. She reaches for the towel, not as a chore, as a ritual. She wipes the counter. One long pass, then a second pass over the same line. She pauses at the corner, smooths the edge with her fingertips, and lets her hand rest for a beat. She folds the towel, aligns the corners, smooths it flat, and sets it down in its place. Then she repeats, smaller now. Wipe, smooth, pause, fold, align, smooth. The room grows even more calm, as if it is learning how to fall asleep. Sienna flips the open sign to closed. The motion is quiet. The sign doesn't click loudly. It just shifts, and the meaning changes. Closed. The bell over the door will likely stay still now. Sienna checks the lock with a gentle turn. Not hard, just enough. She listens to the small sound of the bolt settling. Then she turns back to the cookie case. She opens it carefully. The hinge breathes, cool air sighing into warm air. She adjusts the trays. Half an inch. A small squaring up. A soft correction. She closes it again. And the shop is sealed in its warm quiet. If you're still awake, you don't need to listen closely. You can let the rain and the routine carry you. And if sleep is close, you can let it come whenever it wants to. Sienna moves to the shelf of jars, flour, sugar, chocolate chips, oats, vanilla, cinnamon. She opens one jar with a careful twist. The lid releases with a soft pop. She looks inside, not worried, just checking. She measures flour into a metal bowl. The scoop makes a soft scrape. Level, tap, pour, level, tap, pour. The flour falls like quiet snow, soundless, steady. She sets the scoop down. Then she measures sugar. Scoop. Level with the back of a spoon. Tap. Pour. Scoop. Level. Tap. Pour. A small loop. A simple order the hands remember. She wipes the rim of the jar with a clean cloth. Wipe. Turn the jar. Wipe again. Pause. Then she closes the lid. Twist until it stops. Not tight enough to strain, just right. She lines the jar back up on the shelf so the label faces forward. One jar, then another. A line, straighten, a tiny adjustment. The shelf becomes a calm row again. Sienna turns to the kettle. She fills it with cool water. The stream is soft, then it stops. She sets it back, presses the button. A small light comes on. A faint hum begins. She waits for a moment, watching steamless metal warm slowly. Then she reaches for the notebook. Not yet writing, just touching it. Her fingers rest on the cover, a familiar texture, a worn corner, a crease where the spine has been opened many nights. She slides the notebook slightly closer, and the pen too. She doesn't hurry. She never does when the day is ending. She takes the little jar of folded paper slips and lifts it gently. The jar is not heavy, but it feels important in a quiet way. She tilts it just a fraction. The slips shift with a soft rustle. Sienna sets it down again. Then she opens the drawer beneath the counter. Inside, string, stickers, parchment sheets, a small stamp, and a stack of plain cards the size of a palm. She taps the stack against the drawer bottom to align the edges. Tap, tap. Then she places it back like a neat deck. She closes the drawer slowly. No slam, just a soft slide until it meets the frame. Sienna checks the floor near the door. A few drops of rain, a faint trail from umbrellas and shoes. She takes a mop with a clean cloth head. She moves it across the wood floor in long, quiet strokes. Push, pause, pull, pause, push again, pause, pull again. The cloth whispers against the boards. She circles the legs of a table, a gentle arc, then another. The floor becomes even more still. Outside, rain keeps writing its thin lines down the window. Each line begins as a bead, then stretches, then joins another, then disappears at the bottom edge. Sienna watches that for one moment, not thinking, just seeing. Then she turns away and returns to the counter. She rinses the mixing bowl. Water runs softly, then stops. She dries it with a towel. Wipe inside, wipe rim, turn the bowl, wipe again. A small loop that ends with the bowl clean and calm. She sets it on the shelf where it belongs. She washes the scoop, soap, rinse, dry. Then the measuring spoon, soap, rinse, dry. Then her hands, warm water, a little soap, rub palms, rub fingers, rinse, dry. She shakes her hands once, just a tiny flick to let the last drops go. The kettle clicks, a soft sound, a gentle signal. Sienna pours hot water into her own mug now. Steam rises. She breathes it in, barely. She empties the mug, then pours again, this time for tea. Something mild, something that smells like chamomile and soft herbs. She carries it to the counter and sets it beside the notebook. The mug warms the wood. Sienna sits on the stool behind the counter, not collapsing, just arriving. Her shoulders drop a fraction. She takes one sip, a pause, then she opens the notebook. The paper makes a small sound, like a whisper. Sienna's pen touches down, a slow line, then another. She writes the way she cleans, gently, in order. Not too much, not trying to capture everything, just enough to let the day leave her. She writes about the rain, about the warm window, about the quiet, and about a few people who came in carrying busy minds. She doesn't list them. She doesn't measure them. She just writes the feeling of it. How the room softened. How the hands found rhythm. How a cup of warmth can change a breath. She pauses, takes a sip, lets the tea sit in her mouth for one beat before swallowing. Then she writes again. A sentence, a short line, then another. The ink dries on the paper as the rain keeps falling. Sienna reaches for the little jar of folded paper slips. She opens it and takes one out. Just one. She turns it over between her fingers, feels the crease, feels the worn fold. Then she opens it carefully. The message is simple, handwritten, small letters. Let the quiet be kind. Sienna reads it once, then again, as if the words are something you can drink slowly. Her mouth curves into the smallest smile. She refolds the slip, a line, press the crease, smooth with a fingertip, pause. Then she sets it inside the notebook, like a bookmark, a tiny miracle, a warm coincidence. Not because it solves anything, because it belongs to this night. Sienna breathes out and writes one more line. Something like, tonight, quiet was not empty. It was a place. Then she closes the notebook halfway, not shut, just resting. She looks around the shop. The jars on the shelf lined like patient friends. The cookie case clean and dimly lit. The floor dry. The warm lamps still holding their honey glow, though lower now. Sienna stands. She turns off one lamp. The room gets softer. She turns off another lamp. Now the shop is mostly shadow and warmth, like a room ready for sleep. She leaves one small light on near the counter, just enough to walk safely, just enough to feel held. She checks the door again, a gentle touch to the lock, a confirmation. Then she gathers her coat. She slips her arms in. The fabric settles over her shoulders. She wraps a scarf around her neck. One loop, then a second. Tuck the end. A small routine. A closing song. She turns off the last counter light. Only the little lamp remains. Sienna takes her keys from the hook. Metal on metal, a soft clink. She looks at the shop one last time, not with worry, with gratitude. A quiet gratitude, the kind that doesn't need to be spoken. Then she opens the door. The bell rings one gentle time, and the rain steps forward to meet her. Outside, the air is cool, late autumn cool, the kind that makes your breath visible for a moment. Sienna opens her umbrella. A soft pop. Rain lands on the fabric and becomes a steady hush. She locks the shop door with a careful turn. Click. Then she starts walking. The street is quiet, not empty, just softened by weather. Streetlights glow in pale halos. Reflections ripple in shallow puddles as cars pass farther down the road. Sienna's shoes make a gentle sound on the wet pavement. Step, pause, step. Not hurried, not slow for show, just natural. She passes a closed bookstore, a dark window, a faint reflection of her umbrella. She passes a small cafe, lights off, chairs upside down on tables. The city feels like it's folding itself away, like paper being put back into a drawer. Sienna turns a corner and heads toward home. Her apartment is close, a short walk, a few blocks through the rain. As she walks, her mind tries to pick up speed, just out of habit. A thought about tomorrow, a thought about a tray, a thought about a message she might need to answer. Then she hears the rain again, and the thoughts loosen slightly, as if the sound is smoothing them down. She doesn't force anything. She just keeps walking. Step, pause, step. She reaches her building, a small lobby light, a quiet hallway. She closes her umbrella with a soft snap. Water drips onto the mat. Dark spots bloom and settle. She shakes the umbrella once, gently, then sets it in the stand. Sienna takes out her keys, key in the lock, a small turn, a click. She steps inside. Warmth meets her face. Not hot, just enough. She closes the door until it seals with a quiet sound. She stands still for one moment. Then she begins the home loop. Shoes off, one shoe, then the other. Coat on the hook, scarf on the hook. She washes her hands. Warm water, soap, rinse, dry. She fills a glass with water. Glass in hand. A small sip. A pause. She turns on one small lamp. The room becomes soft again. No bright light. No sharp edges. She walks to the window and looks out at the rain for a moment. Streetlight glow on the wet road. A car passes like a quiet shadow, then gone. Sienna takes one deep breath. Not a practice, just a breath. And she lets it out slowly. If sleep is close, you can let it come. You can let your thoughts be as they are, without fixing them. There is nothing you need to solve tonight. Sienna makes her bed in the simplest way. She pulls the sheet smooth, one hand, then the other. She fluffs one pillow, a small lift, a soft pat. She folds a blanket at the foot of the bed. Fold, align, smooth, a small loop that makes the room feel ready. She changes into pajamas, soft fabric, a quiet rustle. She brushes her teeth slowly, not counting, not rushing. Rinse, spit, rinse again. She rinses the sink, Water runs, then stops. She wipes the counter once, then again. A tiny echo of the shop routine. She returns to the bedroom. Rain is still there, still steady. Sienna climbs into bed. The mattress sighs softly. She pulls the blanket up. The fabric warms quickly. She rests her hands on her stomach for a moment, and she remembers the folded slip inside her notebook. Let the quiet be kind. She doesn't need to do anything with it. She just lets it be true. Her eyes grow heavier, not suddenly, like a dimmer turning down. Outside, rain continues its gentle work. Inside, everything is soft. And for you, dear listener, it can be soft as well. You have done enough for one day, even if your mind tries to replay, even if a message still echoes, even if quiet feels strange at first. You don't have to fix any of it tonight. You can rest without earning it. You can let one small routine be your new song. A warm sip, a slow breath, a softer thought passing by without being followed. If the story is fading, that's perfectly okay. If you're drifting, you can drift. Let the rain be the blanket over the city. Let the warmth be the hand on your shoulder. Let the quiet be kind. Sienna's breathing slows. Inhale, exhale. The room holds her, and the night holds you too. Good night.